This one's called the lightning round. And this one's going to go back and forth with 1 minute for each question, and there is no response. So, and each question is going to be different, so you will not answer the same questions.
Let's start with Mr. Filner. Mr. Filner, what is the proper role of government in responding to an economic crisis?
The proper role of government is to make sure that we set the conditions for American creativity and innovation. And as we have learned throughout our history, sometimes in extreme situations which we find ourselves in, it is the government that has to, in fact, that is all of us working together to do some spending to make sure that we have stimulated demand and stimulate further a turnaround in production. The government must be involved in that when we have the circumstances that we've had. What this government did, and by the way, the first stimulus package was Mr. Bush's, not Mr. Obama's. The stimulus package went to the wrong people. It went to the biggest banks and the biggest insurance companies in our country. It didn't trickle down to us. And I don't know about you, but I'm tired of being trickled on. That is, I want us to help small business, I want us to help community banks, and I want us to help local economies, and not the big guys at the top.
Thank you.
Mr. Popaditch, do you believe our current political system is broken? And if so, what do you plan to do to fix it?
Do I believe it's broken? I believe they're not listening. That's why I decided to run. That's why I got in a race. Do I believe that we're selling away liberty every day with somebody up here telling you that a stimulus package worked? Yes, we're selling away liberty, and our grandkids are going to pay for that. So yes, I believe there's a lot of problems, but I believe it's the greatest system in the world. The Founding Fathers wrote that Constitution 219 years ago. It's bulletproof today. We didn't want a king back then. We don't want one now. So I believe it's absolutely fixable. We just got to get it back in the hands of the people. Send citizens back up there, not career politicians. We send those folks up there who will listen to you and fight for you. I love America. God bless America. It's not broken. We can fix it.
Okay, Mr. Popaditch, how do you feel about the card check program? Excuse me.
How do I feel about card check legislation? I'm absolutely opposed to it because it takes choice out of the hands of the citizens. Anything that allows our individual citizens to be bullied by an organization, I'm opposed to. I want you to have the right to choose. I'm not opposed to labor unions. I'm not for them. That's the sort of thing the government should stay the heck out of. You want to have a labor union, have it. But I'm absolutely opposed to project labor agreements. I'm not going to make any sweetheart deal with you as the government. So that's where I stand on card check legislation. Absolutely opposed to it.
Bipartisanship have in the toolbox of a congressional member?
Oh, it should be a very important part. It should be a very important part. But one of the, by the way, when the last question was about what would you do to fix it. One of the best things we can do, in fact, to
Please stick to the question, Mr. Filner. Please, ladies and gentlemen, respect, please.
I'm about to answer the question.
Okay, proceed.
Because one of the best things we can do to encourage bipartisanship is stop the gerrymandering of the districts that has been taken in this country for, a couple centuries. So if we didn't have the kinds of seats that are gerrymandered, I think we could have a more, what shall I say, a consensual approach to politics, because the Democrats are in Democratic districts and appeal to their base, the Republicans are in Republican districts and appeal to their base, and so it's very difficult to talk to one another because each one is appealing to their base. So the first thing I would do in answer your question, but also in answer to the previous question, is to stop the gerrymandering that occurs in our political society.
Mr. Popaditch, as a student, I feel like schools are suffering so much. What can you do to increase school budgets and stop school programs from getting cut?
Every 2 years we hear this, every election time, we hear, I'm for education, and the only thing that happens very consistently every 2 years is our level of education gets lower and our teachers' union gets stronger. That's why I support school vouchers. It empowers the parents, not the teachers' unions, to choose that education that's consistent with their values and beliefs. School vouchers, that's how we make it.
Mr. Filner, when you spoke to the Imperial Valley vegetable growers 3 years ago, you stated that George Bush was bankrupting the country. Why have you voted for all of the deficit spending of Obama?
Quiet, please.
Actually, I haven't. The biggest thing, ladies and gentlemen, that we can do to reduce the deficit is to bring the troops home from Afghanistan and Iraq. I got my party on that, so I had the biggest thing, we're talking about $3, $4, $5 trillion for a war that under no way can we ever define a victory. There's no way that we can define it. Yes, we can leave special forces there. Yes, we can make sure we're negotiating with local tribes. Yes, we can use technology. But I'm chairman of the Veterans Committee in the Congress. I have seen the broken bodies and the broken minds that have come back from that war, and I'm not sure what that was about, but I think that's the biggest way to stop the deficit. And I voted against Mr. Obama's war.
Mr. Popaditch, will health care cause managed care?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question or make it a little clearer for me?
The question is, will health care cause managed care?
Will healthcare, you mean Obamacare, or are we talking about the healthcare bill?
I'm just reading the question as it's stated.
Who asked the question?
If we don't think it's a valid question, we can throw it out.
Move on.
Okay.
Next question.
Okay. As our representative, what will you do to change Washington's perception and make them realize that long border wait times equal a reduction in jobs, lack of business opportunities for legal law-abiding American residents, and inhibits the overall economic recovery of this nation?
Absolutely, I'll listen to the businessmen of this district, because those are all very valid business concerns. The 51st Congressional District, our congressional district, is the largest piece of U.S.-Mexico border of any congressional district in the House. For 18 years, we've had a congressman up there who's taken no position on this border, has done nothing to change it. Your congressman should be leading the charge on it, should be taking those issues to the House floor. Instead, we've allowed it to be defined from Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and South Carolina. Individuals who don't even live anywhere near this border telling us how to fix it. All those technologies will increase business here. I support every one of them, and as your congressman, I'll go there and fight for them to make them happen on the floor of the Congress.
Next question, please.
Mr. Filner, do you believe our free enterprise system is currently threatened?
By who? Tell me by who, but threatened by who? Chinese?
Please, keep it down. Let's give Mr. Filner another question. It's all, we'll make it equal here.
Can I answer that one?
What type of veteran services will you bring with you to Imperial Valley?
I'm sorry?
What type of veteran services will you bring with you to the Imperial Valley?
You know, when I was first running for election in Imperial County and met with veterans groups and individuals over the county, the first thing they said was they needed a clinic right here in the valley so they wouldn't have to spend hours and hours going across the mountain to La Jolla, waiting there all day and getting a ride back. We now have a veterans clinic here in the valley. As chairman of the Veterans Committee for the last 4 years, we have brought over almost $25 billion worth of new money into the health care for our nation's veterans. That's a 65% increase, unprecedented in the history of the VA. We have worked on rural veterans. We have tried to help women veterans. We have worked on, we have a 5-year plan to get rid of homeless amongst veterans. So, and every veterans organization in America has given me their top legislative award. As we know, the VFW PAC, the only national endorsing organization, has endorsed me in this race because I have been the one that
Thank you,
has,
Mr. Filner. Final question.
Mr. Moderator, may I finish the sentence that they have stopped me from doing?
We went a little bit over, so let's move on to the final question.
Okay, Mr. Popaditch, what would you do to assure no further cuts are made to food stamp benefits?
What would I do to make sure no further cuts are made to food stamp benefits? Wow. Once again, I recognize there's a difference between entitlement and a promise. Now, that one's going to fall under the category of entitlement. I believe in a safety net, but I certainly don't think we need to make it too darn comfortable down there on that safety net. I'm not a cruel man, but I believe we need to absolutely make these systems not as comfortable as they are right now.
Yeah.